Welcome Castle Goring from Nikki, Aurora and from me. Well. Before starting, I have to say, first of all, I am going to post after the introduction a few clips from Royal Ascot. The first day at Royal Ascot, I had the pleasure, yet again, of being in Sanjeev Ramdane's box with his lovely daughter Shania, with the magical touch of Thierry Maquet and wonderful friends and marvellous company, practically dead above the finishing line, a little bit past the finishing line, because you don't want it to be absolutely dead on the finishing line, because you want to be able to see right up to the finishing line. The perfect situation for a box. So there is the King arriving for the first day of Royal Ascot. Unfortunately, I missed the national anthem. Can I? And let's see what's happening. Oh, and these are the boxes. It's,
Little Venice is amazing. Really.
and Camilla, of course, wore Dior. Yes, Camilla wore Dior, but since we're going to be speaking about Dior and Megsy baby, I'm not going to say any more at the moment. And also, I want to thank the lady who sent me this wonderful hairband. Dear Lady C, a small offering to assist the bling. Thank you very much. I think it's fabulous. Nobody carries it off like you. Merci beaucoup. Respect, as them say in Jamaica. Thank you for the afternoon entertainment. I enjoyed them so much I joined the club. Best Jenny. Oh, thank you very much. Then she says, P.S. Sorry they are only faux. You deserve only the genuine article. Jenny, truth be told, if it's beautiful, I'm happy to have it, really. You know, I have the Real McCoy, and I also have the faux. And truth be told, each gives me equal pleasure as long as they are beautiful. Of course, one has to be careful. So, you know, hairbands should be faux. Tiaras should be real, but hairbands should be faux. I wouldn't want a real headband. So thank you very much. And now I will plunge in with read books. And I'm going to eliminate the numbers wherever possible, because YouTube has interjected numbers yet again, which I think is really rather tiresome. So anyway, I saw that Dior said it was untrue that they would be working with 666. dear, I love it. You know, Nancy Reagan got the house they bought in California changed because the number was 666, and she said, no, I can't have that number. It's too associated with somebody Meganian, except she used the previous name before we became aware of the meganomics of the Meghanite. Anyway, without interrupting further, that they would be working with 666 and that Dior was confounded as to how that falsehood came to be reported. Have to still confirm the information. Well, I have made a few inquiries. Sorry. Dior actually said they were nonplussed, which means they were so surprised and confused that no one knew how to react. But evidently what really happened was Bernard Arnaud, who owns the parent company and whose daughter Delphine is, I think, the CEO. Anyway, she runs the company. She runs Dior. While her father he owns the whole of the company and, delegates to people like his daughter Delphine. He made the mistake of saying something positive about Meghan, or something along the lines of he had time for her, or something along those lines, and thought that she was quite attractive, which she is. And evidently, out of small acorns come big oaks. And what does dear Megsy baby do? She gets wind of this. Spotify dumped her. Netflix, I understand from my Hollywood sources, is getting ready to dump her and them. It's not been proven yet that, it's not materialized yet, but that's, I'm pretty sure, very accurate information that I have received. And Dan Wooten has received similar information from separate sources. So if he and I are both hearing the same thing, I think it's a slam dunk deal that it's gonna happen sooner or later. But Megsy baby, and I should also say at this point that I gather that Ari Emanuel is not best pleased with Megsy baby because she has overturned that apple cart. Oh dear, oh dear. All well-laid plans come a cropper because Megsy baby, according to what I've been told, went behind his back, and evidently they had put out feelers to Dior that there might be interest on their part in having some joint venture or cooperative effort with Megsy baby involved and Harry. And this is very plausible because both Harry and Meghan have been wearing Dior and have been getting deals from Dior to wear Dior. So the whole thing is not totally far-fetched. And I gather that Dior was not particularly interested in progressing it But if they could have got her very cheaply, which they would have got her very cheaply, there might have been low-level interest to take it a step further. And what does Megsy Baby do? Force the solution. Just as how when she and H started out doing their little number and spooning like two bananas curved together to make sure that she solidified the deal. She leaked it to the press that, oh, I'm his girlfriend and I'm being racially abused. That was the start, and she evidently, old habits die hard, and she couldn't resist the temptation. And what did she do? She sabotaged the whole thing. Not, I understand, that it was ever really going to materialize, because while Dior has not minded Meghan and Harry wearing their clothes and effectively promoting the brand, doubtless on a gratis basis, there were grave reservations about commercially going to bed with either of them, especially her, because they are such a tainted product. They're damaged goods. But I gather that Ari Emanuel is not best pleased, because Megsy Baby has yet again evidently outmaneuvered everybody, including herself. Poor Megsy Baby. Oh. I'm grief-stricken for Megsy Baby. Ooh, pigs fly, pigs fly. Aurora, please, honey, go get Mutty some Coke. Yes. How do you mean you'll only get it if you get some more flowers? Don't be rude. Go get some Coke. Mutty wants some Coke. I need to console myself on behalf of Megsy Baby. Go on, get me Coca-Cola so I can drink it. You talk about a farce. Retired stitcher says, Dear Lady C, why would Meghan let the cat out of the bag about being close to signing a 20 million contract with Dior before it actually happened? Was there ever such an offer? Or was it just a rumour to shift the limelight away from the Spotify debacle and trying to present the rebranded Meghan? Do you think Meghan did this latest stunt with William Morris Endeavour? No, she did it without William Morris Endeavour, I gather. William Morris Endeavour would never have behaved like this. But also, Dior was not Meghan and William Morris Endeavour's only hope. There's an awful lot of hope going on, and Meghan would like to convert hope into expectation, and then convert expectation into reality, dollars and cents. But she's a $3 bill girl, and she's going to find out that rolled gold isn't the same as 18 karat. Also, because my understanding is because there are several irons in the fire, to merch and merchandise and try to associate Meghan with brands. I don't know which brand would be in its right mind would actually associate with her at this point, but you never know if the brand wants to go really down market and appeal to fifth raters. And you know, brands do have the haute couture line, the ready to wear line, and if they want to go down to the gutter line, that's a valid part of the market as well. So, you know, I can see the rationale behind it, having come from a business family. But she, of course, always inflates everything. And the rumors that it would be a $20 million deal and that she was going to be paid $100,000 or $200,000 per post or whatever it's called, you know, where you post things, or I can't remember the term, I don't do the internet. Absolute fantasy, wishful thinking, pie in the sky, hope. And the last time around, when they made their stupid announcements, Spotify was going to be $20 million, Netflix was going to be $120 million or $150 million, Dior was going to be $20 million. So I suppose that's supposed to encourage Reitmans to offer more than $750,000. Yeah, we better offer them $10 million. Don't think so. However, maybe Meg's baby would like to hold her breath. That would be an interesting outcome. That actually might be the answer to everybody's prayers. Tutti Frutti says, Kelly Osborne gave a fantastic opinion of the Harkles. She certainly didn't hold back. She certainly didn't. Who would blame her after the witch got her mother Sharon sacked from the show she presented? These honest opinions have been a good while coming, but hopefully the floodgates have been opened and people speak out without fear of being cancelled. Well, Meghan did us all a great favour by focusing the spotlight on how completely anti-white racists were being and how they were playing the colour card to the detriment of race relations. Yeah, it cost Piers Morgan his job. It cost Sharon Osbourne her job. But if the fantasy, if the fiction, if the fallacy, which had been allowed to propagate and promulgate, had continued, it would have done tremendously more damage than exposing it has done. So one or two high-profile people have lost their job, but that has given people like you and me the opportunity to shine a light on what was going on. And it's people like us who have ultimately made the difference, because our voices have been heard. And there have been enough of us speaking out, and the more people who speak out is the more those others listen. And this is what has happened. So it's fabulous in a funny sort of way that Meghan didn't realize that by playing the race card, she thought she was going to make herself a whole load of money. She was going to damage the royal family, damage the British nation's reputation, damage the Commonwealth, trip off making a whole load of money, not the figures that she announced, but hoping down the line with her lies and treachery and faux racist nonsense that she would be able to make a whole load of money and set herself up as being this great victim of a racist nation, racist royal family, racist institution, and racist everything who didn't agree with her. And what has she done? She's shown that black people, as well as white people and brown people and every other color people, can be racist, and that they can abuse the system, and that they can be very unfair and damaging to others. She's done the world a favor inadvertently. Marla Weaver says, God bless Bill Simmons for having the cojones to speak loud and proud from the executive's desk. Haha, yes. Bill Simmons is the head of podcast innovation and monetization at Spotify. And you can bet your bottom dollar, and this I have on very good authority from people close to what has gone on, that he didn't shoot from the hip. Spotify is outraged, evidently, at the ride that Meghan and Harry have taken them on. They had enough of Meghan and Harry and their nonsense and their pretentiousness and their self-importance and their constant unprofessional letting Spotify and the deal down. I mean, Meghan in 3 years did content that is less than I do in 10 days. Think about it. 3 years versus 10 days. Now you see why Spotify was so annoyed. And don't think that Meghan has not blotted her copy. I've said it all along. Meghan has had a shocking reputation in Hollywood all along with people who worked with her. The only reason why she was able to get a second bite of the cherry, go back and listen to what I've said, because I have great friends in Hollywood who are genuine Hollywood royalty in quotes, or connected to genuine Hollywood royalty. And they've been telling me she is anathema, and he's now anathema in Hollywood. And I gather that Tom Bauer has come out saying that a story about Meghan trying to catch a lift on someone's private plane and proposing herself to stay in their house. I said this months ago. I was told by people in Hollywood, in Montecito, but they also own a place in Hollywood, that people flee when they see Meghan and Harry coming, and they don't want to be in the same room as them because they're always cadging lifts, trying to cadge lifts off planes. They're freeloaders, and that people have been avoiding them. Well, if I was saying that months ago, you can depend on it, this has been building for a while. Tangential with that has been the fact that Meghan and Harry have not produced the goods for Spotify or Netflix that were expected. I also said at the time that I was told that despite Spotify trying to say that it was the most successful, wonderful podcast, that they had actually manipulated the figures and it was not true. Well, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. They've severed. Netflix is getting ready to sever. I would imagine the only thing that will save Harry and Meghan's bacon is a downgrade significantly in terms of their reward. And even that might not save their bacon. But if their bacon's going to be saved, that's the only way that it's possible for it to be saved. They are anathema, socially, professionally, and generally. DTGB says, "Hi Lady C, loved the picture of you at Trooping the Colour. Thank you. You looked so glamorous. Thank you. Gives us mature women some hope that women our age can still be head turners. Thank you." But may I interject here and say, an older woman who turns heads because she's still attractive and she still has some impact, it's not the same as when you're young and all swordsmen want to unsheathe their swords and go, oh God, it's not the same thing. And I'm actually quite happy that it's not the same thing. So I just say that for what it's worth. I'm perfectly content to have everything calmed down in certain regards. A question I am most curious to have your perspective on. It seems to me the rebranding efforts, no matter how hard they work, the damage has been done and her image is irreparable. Anything they do, we will all know it's fake and, God forbid, inauthentic. Meghan has established only too well who she really is. Do you believe she can be saved and have a comeback? Not as quality merchandise. Once you know that the goods are not of the finest material or of the best quality, you can ask top dollar till you're blue in the face. There's no prestige attached to the fifth rate. Meghan, if she is going to be rebranded, is going to be rebranded for uneducated, uninformed, unsophisticated people of the lower socio-economic order. Now, that's fine. They have a right to have their deities too. They have a right to have their role models, their figures of approbation, people they look up to. But there's a heck of a difference between brass that isn't even gold plated and 24 karat gold. And anybody with discernment knows the difference. Meghan has shown she is brass with brass neck and a brassy manner and the quality of anything but gold. Mary Catalano says, regarding the commentary at 22:17 in the video, whichever video, oh yes, dear Lady C, Ari Emanuel, CEO of WME, is the brother of Rahm Emanuel, who served as White House Chief of Staff 2019 to 2020 for the Obama administration. He was mayor of Chicago and a graduate of Northwestern University, Meghan's alma mater. Interesting that the Obamas have distanced themselves from Harry and Meghan, but have never publicly condemned their behavior. Well, they wouldn't. I'll get to that in a second. Now, Ari Emanuel has been hired to rehabilitate Meghan's image. Fine hope there. They can put as much lipstick as they want on that pig, it's still gonna grunt. Now, Ari Emanuel has been hired to rehabilitate Meghan's image. She could prove to be a valuable political asset given that she is an attractive female of mixed race with royal connections. This could certainly tick a lot of boxes politically. What do you think? I enjoy your program very much. Mary Catalano, your thinking is very interesting. It is definitely left field. It is a slim possibility, and very practiced politicians and people who deal with realpolitik understand that dark horses do sometimes win races, but it's very unlikely. No. It's most likely, you see, the Obamas have a lot of respect for the Prince of Wales and the King. And they had a great deal of respect and admiration and affection for the late Queen. They get along very well with the King. They get along very well with the Prince of Wales. There are many ways to block someone's entry into the hallowed space. Sometimes offering them hope when you have the expectation of failure is a way of keeping them at bay. So, no, I don't think anybody expects Meghan Markle to ever be a political success. She may hope and she may dream and she may expect, but then she expected to be the most famous woman on earth, the most popular woman on earth. She expected to be adored. She's certainly the most infamous woman on earth, more than likely, but definitely not the most famous, definitely not the most adored. So you could say her expectations are realized, but at the opposite end of the scale. And don't think that practiced politicians don't realize that she's a turkey. She's a turkey. It's very unlikely that Meghan Markle will be voted for anything except maybe failure of the decade. There's also another issue here. Not only are the Obamas very much in favor of the royal family, and the Obamas understand that people of a certain rank have to conduct themselves in a certain way. And I know not everybody likes the Obamas, but say what you will about them, he has tremendous presence and is a fine orator and he's what the French would call very raffiné. And she, whether you like her politics or not, has actually eked out a position for herself of great respect where many people are concerned. And even if you don't like their politics, you can still look at them and say they conduct themselves with dignity. You cannot say the same thing about Meghan and Harry. Also, another person who is very much in favor of the royals is Anna Wintour. You know, we keep on hearing that Meghan's going to be the star of the Met Gala. Not a chance. Anna Wintour has just been made a companion of honour. I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. Everybody in royal circles knows if you have chosen Meghan and Harry, that blocks access to William and Catherine. And also, it does not invite anything but suspicion where Charles and Camilla are concerned. K-Pax says, Meghan's delusions off the top of my head include, and I'm reading this because it's very, very to the point and rather entertaining. 1, the fire in Archie's nursery. Poor Archie nearly died! Sniffer, sniffer. Archie nearly died. Poor Mexi baby. High as a kite off terror. 2, the people in South Africa celebrating her wedding like when Nelson Mandela was released from prison. Yes, don't you remember it? There was singing in the streets. There was dancing. They slaughtered oxen. And they slaughtered goats and sheep. They even slaughtered pigs. All to celebrate Meghan's wedding to Harry. We have her word for it. 3, the secret wedding in the backyard 3 days before the actual spectacle wedding. Yes, remember that as well? You know, that racist Archbishop of Canterbury has been lying and saying that he didn't marry them 3 days before the wedding and that it's against the law to marry them twice. He's a racist. 4, the airline employee, hat in hand. Yes, and remember, he had to take off his cap, even though they're not allowed to wear caps inside. But let's continue. Thanking Meghan for everything she tried to do for England. So noble, so noble. Meghan so self-sacrificing. 1 deal at a time. 5, the bodyguard holding her in his arms while she cried, and he says he knew how hard she tried. Yes. Oh, yes. Poor Mexi baby needed the comfort of a big, strong man. And since H wasn't around, the bodyguard had to suffice. Poor Mexi baby. And he was so aware of all that she tried to do. She tried so hard. She got out of her bed 1 day a week for half an hour to do something for someone else except herself. You talk about nobility of purpose. 6, the British press using the N-word about Archie. Oh, yes, of course. It's been printed everywhere. That's why it can't be found anywhere. Absolutely. 7, that she and H were fleeing for their lives while leaving England. Oh, absolutely. Everybody was after them. The paparazzi, the men in white suits, the men in grey suits, the men in white. Oh, sorry. Nurse Ratchet, not right now. Come back in half an hour when I've finished. I'll give you their address. 7, that she and H were so I've read that. 8, the 2-hour car chase in Manhattan. Don't forget, at 80 miles an hour. 80 miles an hour through those streets that magically cleared the way Moses cleared the Red Sea so that Meghan and Harry could cross into the promised land, otherwise known as a yellow cab, so endangered that they actually got out of a blacked out vehicle with giving everybody access to not only their image but their body. My goodness, you talk about real security. 9, her single-handed getting a soap company to change their advertisements. Oh yes, Meghan at the age of 11 wrote Procter & Gamble, and it's thanks to her own efforts and no one else's that Procter & Gamble substituted the word people for women. Isn't Megsy baby potent? 10, putting herself through college. Yes. And her father, Jack that he is, has faked receipts that would lead anybody to believe that he'd done it. And the hundreds of thousands that he spent on her and bankrupted himself in the process is a fantasy, because he can't be relied upon to speak the truth, but she can. Yes. What does she have to show for it? Oh, it's a 3-letter word beginning with L. I-E? Is that right? Lie. Yes. 11, being an only child. Oh, we mustn't forget she's an only child. Although she has a niece called Ashley, who she has not only introduced into her Netflix program, but actually lied and told that the palace didn't want her at the wedding. When I have said all along that I was told by the palace that they wanted family at the wedding, and they were very concerned that Meghan was not asking her family. But maybe the palace are liars as well. Everybody's a liar, but everybody's a racist except Meghan, of course. 12, her sister changing her last name back to Markle after Meghan was with Harry. Oh, without a doubt. The fact that she'd always used Markle and that she had been using Markle for years before Meghan met Harry is... Who's lying? Oh, yes. Next one. 13, little girls asking her if she was a princess, and she condescendingly said yes. Now, it's such a pleasure for me to introduce myself. I'm a royal life princess, full of class. 14, the royal family refusing to give Archie a title because of race. Well, absolutely. I mean, why would they have given Archie a title? Obviously, he was going to be deprived of the title of prince because Meghan has African ancestry. Clearly, they're racist. Clearly. 15, describing her relationship with Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II as close. Oh, my dear, as they would say in Jamaica, Meghan has led us to believe they were like Batty and Bench. Batty is your posterior in Jamaican, and bench is what you use to sit with your Batty upon. And, yes, like Batty and Bench, they were that close. Except, of course, that if you've read my book, you know that Queen Elizabeth II reviled Meghan by the end of it all and had Meghan's measure. Oh, Aurora, darling, please come. there is something of street about someone that we're speaking about. Is it you? Is it me? Or is it Meghan? 16. Saying Princess Catherine made her cry. Well, she did. I mean, that mean Catherine. Can you imagine? She was perfectly fit. She'd only had a baby 2 or 3 weeks before. And she had, remember, baby hormones. And that witch Catherine made poor sweet Meg's baby cry. Yes, poor sweet Meg's baby. She cries at the drop of a hat. One tear left eye. 17. She didn't contribute directly to funding freedom and finding freebies. She certainly didn't. She gave absolutely no assistance. That mean Jason Knopf made it all up. That's right. He made it all up. She never gave any cooperation whatsoever. 18. She had no idea how the Paps knew they were at Tyler Perry's house. Of course she had no idea. How could she have had an idea? She phoned them up herself. Once it was out of her mouth, it ceased to be an idea. It became information that the Civ leaked. That's not an idea any longer. In the Meghan scheme of things, that is expended. Therefore, it can't be an idea. You need to understand we're dealing with somebody whose thought processes are completely alien to logic and any of the sort of aspects of reason and groundedness that you or I might think would be advisable and desirable. Oh, no. If the idea pops into her head, out come the words, that's a fact. Oh, and then, of course, when it suits her, she doesn't remember that she did them. This is just what was off the top of my head. I'm sure there are many, many more. There certainly are many, many more. And I'm going now to read out something from Rovian Matovu, who says, in response to that wonderful series of Meghanisms, thanks for that. That's just starters. The list is endless. I, as a proud black British woman, feel very let down and duped. I was so hopeful. Meghan had the world at her feet, and this is the tragedy. This is the tragedy. And this is what I, as a Jamaican, understand in a way that maybe a lot of white Americans and white Britons won't understand. But white Jamaicans will know exactly what I'm saying, as will brown and black Jamaicans. Because anybody who has scruples, a conscience, insight, intelligence, perceptiveness, a heart and a brain will know. You talk about squandering the most wonderful opportunity. Meghan had the world at her feet to do good. She was offered something even beyond a throne. And look at what she has done with it. I mean, you talk about a tragedy, but then you cannot expect a pig to pirouette just because you've put ballet slippers on its hooves. And that is where the reality is at. So, Ferocious Gumby says, sorry if you've seen this comment elsewhere, But I am completely mystified and honestly wonder if a magazine cover with Meghan Markle on it has been scrubbed from the internet. I saw a tabloid cover, Globe USA, yesterday, which was hilarious. But I don't see coverage of this anywhere, nothing on Twitter or anywhere else, which puzzles me. I wish I could post the image here, but I held this thing in my hands, so it's real. The headline was, "Her secret past finally exposed. Meghan Bimbogate explodes. TV boss and co-star dish the inside dirt. The men, the money, the truth. Why the royal family is absolutely horrified." The photo shows her in her red bimbo dress. Deal or no deal? Grinning in that insane way. I'm so enthusiastic. Yes, I am, and you gotta love me. But no one is touching this. Though I think it is a significant example of the sinking ship. Why isn't anyone touching it? Extremely weird, since every other article about her has been dissected and pulled apart, but no one is even touching this. Has anyone else seen this thing on social media? And if not, why not? Twitter? Anywhere? Though this is an American publication, I found it in supermarket racks in many stores in Canada. Makes me wonder if she had it scrubbed, but an image of the cover is still available. I even sent it to 2 prominent royal channels and heard nothing back. By the way, I cannot find the comments I left about this on other channels. They seem to have disappeared, as this one might too. Well, it hasn't disappeared. For some reason, our channel seems to be an exemplar of freedom of speech. And the differing opinions seem to be respected by the powers that be, who doubtless monitor everything that is said on channels. So I praise YouTube for that. Well, I can tell you a story of that nature is not going to be picked up by other publications the way you would expect it to be. It's too wide and divergent a subject, and the subject matter is too incendiary. And if they got any details wrong in the repetition, they could be sued by Meghan for defamation. So I could go on at greater length and tell you why, in legal terms, that sort of story is never going to receive the wide attention that you would expect it to receive. Most publications are not prepared to tie up the time, the effort, or the money to defend what is a likely lawsuit that, unless they had photographic evidence, physical evidence, could be very problematic. Defamation is very serious when it goes to the, shall we say, horizontal conduct of an individual. Yeah. That's why people are careful what they say. And I'm going to end with KCTA WAMEE. I don't know if that's Casey Tammy. No idea. YouTube has reconfigured things again. Tiresomely. Why doesn't the witch hire black security? Does she only hire white security? Well, remember, Meggie said on Netflix that she was really furious with the British press for labeling her as being black. And I will use another example. There was a Jamaican barrister, what they called in Jamaica a red heber, who called herself Carol Winston Churchill. And she actually was quite a successful barrister in Jamaica, then in Britain. And I'm not going to go into the whys and wherefores. Those of you who happen to know who I'm speaking about will be few and far between. And I don't want to get bogged down in unnecessary detail. But Carol Winston Churchill was very pretentious and very grand. As Diane Jobson, Diane was one of Bob Marley's queens, and the Jobsons are a very, very well-established Jamaican upper-class plantocratic family. And Diane was a lawyer. She was Bob Marley's lawyer in Jamaica. She was also one of his queens. We all grew up together. And my brother was appointed by Diane in England to nurse the Bob Marley case through the House of Lords, which Mickey did, or his firm did, and he did on behalf of the firm. And Diane told us of a story once, because Diane, being truly grand, is very down to earth. And Carol, being very on-grand, but very much an arriviste, in the shades of Meghan Markle, very pretentious and very, I'm so raffinate that I have to cock my finger when I take tea sort of thing. And they were in court together. And Diane, telling the story, said that Carol had arrived at court with a white chauffeur. Now, Carol was what in those days they would have called quite coloured. And Dad said, she arrives with a white chauffeur. So that's what relates to Meghan. It's if you're a certain type of person, if you have employed someone black, that's not quite as statement-like as if you employ someone white. Because remember, it's now role reversal time. And you're showing who has arrived and who has the power. So I need to finish off the story of Diane and Carol. And Diane crossed swords with Carol in court. And she said to the judge, she said, Your Honor, I can't stand this anymore. You know, this woman is trying to scratch her way up to where I'm trying to run away from. Because Dan was definitely, she'd become a Rasta, and she was not going to be going with the old Jamaican elitist ideas. She represented the new Jamaica, and but she was from definitely the old Jamaican elite. And the judge evidently understood exactly what Dan was saying. So, Meghan is a Carol Winston Churchill, and Meghan is trying to scratch her way up to where genuine aristocrats and genuine royals, if they haven't fled from it, and even when they embrace the traditional aspects, they're not pretentious and full of it. So there's, I suppose you could say, a racist element as well. And on that note, I will say, I hope this has been of some interest to you. If it has, please remember to keep the questions and comments coming in. So, God bless. Thanks for listening. And if you have enjoyed this, please like, share, subscribe, press the notification bell, and take good care. Bye-bye.